All right, guys. So what happened last week was we started talking about this grid system, right? And I created two grid systems here, one for offense and one for defense. But I want to kind of go back to this initial one because this one kind of speaks to where the game is played. 50% of the game is here, 25 on the offensive side, 25 on the defensive side. And what we're going to talk about today is concentrating on the defense a little more, right? Because I think offensively, we can work to create opportunities, but on defensive structures where we remain competitive, and that's where you win championships in reality, right? For us to win the league, you have to have a strong defense. So in the lower third, what are we doing? We're making a stand. In the middle, it's transition, making sure that you're in position, you're positionally aware so that whatever happens, you can transition to offense or transition to defense well. And on the offensive side, you can take a little more risk on the offensive third. You can take more risks because there's a lot of layers behind you to kind of cover for you. So we're going to kind of talk about the defensive first, and then we'll talk about the offensive later. So let me go back down here, and then I have the tactical board on this side, so it will allow us to kind of think through a little bit more of what we need to do, right? So let me kind of go here, defensive mentality. So let's kind of walk through this. So if you think about it, 1 and 3 are the same, 4 and 5 are the same, 7 and 9 are the same. It's just the reverse, right? It's left side or right side. And then in the middle, we have the core, and we know fundamentally that whoever holds the middle controls the game. And this is very important because from a defensive side, this is the most dangerous area. And from the offensive side, this is the biggest threat that we have against our opponents so that we can score. So let's kind of read through this a little bit, and we'll kind of give you examples. So we'll start off right in the middle on the defensive side, right? Defense, hyper focus, hyper focus. That means unlike other areas, when the ball is in this space, you have to be extremely focused and intense with your marking. Within arm's reach, you don't want to foul within the box. So be very careful of sticking your leg out and knocking the defender down because the ref's going to call a PK, right? You defend intensely, but be careful for the fouls in the box and be the first to the ball. Do not wait and react. Be the first one. If they're hitting a corner kick into that area, attack it. If it's in the space and it's bouncing, attack it, head it out away from the center into zones 1, 3, 4, or 6, right? Be aware of that because if you put it in here, there's a good chance that since we're dropping back, they'll get control of it. So put it to the outside, give our wingers a chance. And then if you're sliding, which we haven't taught you yet how to slide properly, a couple of you can do it, but there's a technique on how to go sliding for balls when it's a front tackle, when it's a side tackle, when you're reaching from behind. How do you go about doing that? And we'll learn all that eventually. But what does that mean? So let's kind of talk about two real quick. Defensively, that means that on an offensive person, right? Usually teams will probably play with two forwards. This guy's probably up. They're sitting here. It'll probably be something like this, right? This guy's in the middle. So the key for us in the middle is always to pinch. We are playing 2/3. So that means our defense, it's actually coming in to this space, right? We're engaging in this space. Your goal side of that defender, CM is back. We're playing very tight. So what we're looking for is if they go outside, that's fine. You can run and cover the space and prevent them from crossing in. But what we want to do is we want to pinch And when you pinch, what happens is there's less room for them to dribble through. They can't, it's hard for somebody to go through two or three guys, especially Aaron, Noah, Mark, Micah, Max. Like it's very hard to go through for our team. And Lucas, Isaiah, Kingston, like it's hard, right? So we want to stay compact. And the compactness is simply look at the area that we're covering, right? It's we're foregoing these areas on the outside because in reality it's not quite as dangerous. This is where it's dangerous, and we can't let them get a shot off. So diving for the ball is probably the worst thing you can do because I'm gonna fake a shot. You dive in, I cut across. Now I have a shot with the right or the left, right? And so we definitely don't want this to happen. But stay compact. Keeper. The keeper also has to be very aware because in this space, they're going to try to do the through balls into these spaces. And if the keeper can come out to slide and get it before there's any danger, you have to kind of be aware, right? So we're playing in a very small area. The original block right here is what we want, right? And we are foregoing. We're not worried about this. If you look at the 18-yard box or the 18 penalty area, look at where we are. We're all within that space. So if I drew a line here and a line here, I can, it's not as important on this side or this side, but it's extremely important in this area, right? And what I want to kind of remind you of is from the perspective of danger, we make a stand, meaning we don't let them go past this area, right? That's the goal. This is the make a stand area. Make a stand. Do not back up anymore. Match their speed. Don't dive in. Keep them in front of you, and you'll be fine. So do you see the sort of formation, right? On Tony's team, I believe you play with potentially three sometimes. It's the same thing. You would play three in a similar manner to this. You would squeeze in and have those two lines really close to each other. Okay. So let's go back to the discussion here. Let's go to the defense here on the outside. So if the ball is on the outside down here or up here, depending on where we are, right? Winger comes in, DM is here, DM is here, winger is here. This is typically how we would play. It's not that dangerous out here, right? The winger needs to pinch in and cover the backside. So this guy covers this area. This guy covers this area. This guy is on his man. This guy is cutting it back. DM, oops, sorry. DM is right here covering this space. This DM is covering this space. And then the CM, center mid, is covering that. So look at the shape that we have, the coverage that we have in that area. You're playing zonal. So from a zonal perspective and a man perspective as well, right? So we should at this point, if they're in the zone 3, this area right here, we have pretty much the entire danger area covered. And you're also communicating. You have to talk because guys will be making runs through here. They'll shift. And if they're a smart team, they will overload this area over here, right? They will overload this area over here. So you're engaging. A good runner would run through here. He would run through here. If he's running, DM, follow him, right? Because typically the DM would drop back into that defensive line at this point to assist because we're in a danger spot, right? So let's kind of move this back out. Always have a guy at this point marking. This guy's marking space. This guy's marking this guy. This guy's taking space. These two are both pressing the ball, and RW, or right wing, is preventing the back pass, right? He's cutting off the passing lane. So that's something else I want to talk about. When you're actually defending, there's two thoughts in your mind on how you defend. You defend the ball from forward progression, but you're also looking around to make sure where the passing lane is. So, for example, right? If three, let's say I'm trying to cut a ball back to three and RW's coming in to guard, he's not just running in to guard like this. Actually, that's a bad example. Let me give a different example because I think it'll be more game realistic. If he goes back, the reality is that's fine. We want him to move out of our area. But if RW's coming and you know that this is the potential pass, right? You would angle your body. You would come in with this angle. This is what you would do, right? Why? Because if you follow this path, you're in essence cutting off any outlet into the middle. And now it's back here, which then will give you time to shift again, right? So we always have to kind of think about it from that perspective. You're doing two things. Positionally, you're cutting off the passing lane as you're closing a space. So remember that as well. All right. So here's the other thing. When the ball's in this space, let's read through this. Beware of crosses. So you know that he's going to try to get around you to cross the ball into the middle, right? So prevent that. All you have to do is shadow his movement. If he moves here and you move here, it's harder for him to kick it around you, right? And you're within a space that prevents him from going. And if he then loses control, you close the space. Otherwise, you kind of keep a distance that prevents him from pushing the ball past you, either this way or that way. So you want him to stay in this plane and not advance like this. Got it? Here's the other thing as well. What is this? Beware of crosses, back pass. So the back pass is what I was just talking about, which is into the middle, which then creates the danger opportunity is right here. This is where most goals are scored right there, right? So we want to prevent them from getting into that spot. Extremely important for the defensive mids to understand that, right? And then what is the other thing that is stated here? Player cutting back as you chase. So typically the wingers are very fast. They will cut and you watch. It's kind of like what Jonathan does. He dribbles really fast down. The guy catches up and he cuts back, right? So as he's cutting back, you are already, so here's the example. If he's running and you're trying to match his speed and slow him down, you keep a distance. But as you slow down, the distance, as you match his speed and he's slowing down, you close the distance on him, right? Which prevents him from doing that cutback. And you, as a winger, Micah, I see your question, but give me a sec. As a winger, here's his option. His first option is swing it in. His second option is coming back here. His third option is cutting the ball back. He'll dribble, 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 and then cut back, right? And then his fourth option is this. These are the four options that they go for, right? So most dangerous is this one. We definitely don't want that to happen. So that's why you're matching that speed. You're cutting him, keeping on this plane. The second option is the back pass. The right defender, don't worry about the back pass quite as much. Just prevent him from going down and around you at this angle, right? If he back pass, this is where the winger can come in to close that gap, preventing him from back passing so that he has to go all the way back, which means a reset of our formation. Okay. So let's look at that again. We'll go through that. And this is very important because why? When you're in that position where you're chasing the defender, you know he only has those four options. He's going for the cross first. He's trying to beat you to go in the middle, which is that chop back and go in the middle to try to shoot, or he's looking to pass back up to the middle, changing the direction of attack. your goal is to keep him on this plane right here, going up and back like this, but not by you, right? Not by you. All right. And then please, when you're playing defense, anticipate the pass. Anticipate the fact that the ball is, and you can bait him. You can actually give him a slight lane, right? And then jump the pass when he's looking down. Like this is what happens. He'll look, he'll see where he's passing, and then he'll look down to pass. When he's looking down to pass, he's not going to know that you're jumping the lane. So anticipate that pass in front of him. And as he's passing, you take it and you go up, right? Micah, what's going on? You're on mute, Micah.
For the defensive mid, do you like are you defending him like it is in this picture? Or are you trying to like kind of cut off the passing lane and stop him from getting the ball?
Are you talking right here?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. So actually, no. If you are trying to cut off the ball, look at what happens, right? I will rotate him so you have arms. Let's say you're looking at the ball. If you come here, you're putting yourself in a position where you have to do the swivel to know where he is, and you're actually allowing him to run away from you. You have no idea that where he is. If you are in a position where you're in line with the goal, right? This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to stand on that line for his forward run. If he runs here, you can easily anticipate and go, right? And if he moves this way, you're backing up as well. And then the other DM would talk to you at this point. Hey, I got him. Or the left defender or whoever would have that communication, but you would never jump the gun. And this is very important. When you defend, the principle is very simple. Draw a line from your defender to your goal and be on that line, right? Because you can always jump this. And if they cross, you can move out, but you have both views in one. So you don't ever, as a defender, you want to position yourself where you don't have to go, oh, there's the guy and there's the ball, right? You want to see the guy in front of you and the ball. So as he moves, you can assess and still watch both with your peripheral. Remember that. But good question. All right. Let's go into the center mid. This is extremely important, and I want you to understand the concept. As you shift from 2 to 5 or 3 to 5, the focus changes. And what is the priority? And I wrote it at the last one, the prioritize positional defense. What does that mean? It means when you're defending and you're in good positional defense as a team, as they call it, a low block, a middle block, or a high block, you're within 10 yards of one another, defensive line, midfield line, forward line, and you're shifting with the ball, right? You're shifting together as a unit. So this is where, let's move the ball up into this area. We'll shift everything up a little bit more. You have arms now. Nice. Let's go. Let's go. They play with potentially 3. We'll go like this. A lot of teams actually play this, or they play 4 in the middle, right? So when they're in the middle, let's redo this. We pinch. We're actually pinching in. We're pinching in, and we know the danger area is here and the danger area is here. So as a winger, you got to know that if I was the midfield and you're playing there, this is the ball I play into, right? But is it as dangerous as playing right down the middle and having 9 go? No, that's more dangerous. So we give them the outside. But this is what I'm talking about. DM would be in the space. This would be a defense. You would cover this area. This guy would cover this area. CM is engaging the ball at this point. And what you're doing is you're sliding back and forth, right? You're making it so that he can't go by you. You're making it easy. So you're just sliding back and forth. And this is positional. If he loses the ball and he doesn't have full control, yes, go in, engage. But if he has full control of the ball, you're just keeping him in front of you. You're preventing him from going by you like this, which causes a lot more problems. You're staying in front of him, right? And so this is very important. Why? Because as a unit, as we play tight, if they're smart, they'll open up their wings like this because they know that this is there, but most of these teams aren't that disciplined. And then they will move the ball like this. They'll try to move the ball like this. And as they move here, everybody else, and we move. This is where we play 2/3, right? We talked about this many, many times. And this is where the defensive mid and the defenders have to talk. Keeper actually doesn't sit in his goal either. He's in this area. They're not going to be able, on a small field, they might try to shoot. So you're roughly right here to kind of get the ball when it goes over the top and you can get there early. But if it swings to the side, everybody is shifting, right? Everybody is shifting. Everybody is shifting in this manner so that you are actually compressed. And they'll run in here. This four will most likely run out here, which you follow, right? This guy is over here. This guy is probably somewhere down here. And you have to be aware. This guy has to be aware that he's here, but you don't have to be marking him right next to him, right? So this is what we're trying to do as a unit. They swing this way. Somehow they go back here, but over here, right? To get over here, we do the same exact thing. We shift. And what did I just state at the very bottom? Prioritize positional defense, and then also play the 2/3, as well as keeping the ball and the goal, the opponent are the goal that we're trying to score on in front of us, right? So you shift. You shift here. We don't care about this side because chances are at this age, there's nobody here that can ping a ball 30 yards across the field into that space. And even if they did, even if they were good enough to ping it here, you have time to come down. And then we are back in the zone 3. You see how the mentality shifts? These squares determine how you react. So if they go from 5 to 3, we go from prioritizing positional defense to being aware of crosses, back pass, player cutting back, and staying goal side of your mark and anticipating the pass, right? The mentality changes. And this is a very simplistic way for me to break the game down where you know how to think in any specific situation. If you are able to do this, processing the game would be very simple. There's nothing there beyond what we stated here, right? So let's talk about 6. Let's talk about 6. Defense. Force opponent to the sideline. Key is to stop forward progression, then win the ball, right? And then shift as a team to close the space 2/3. So this is what I was kind of talking about already. What is the objective? And we did this a couple of times where they scored on us because we were overzealous. Look what happens. We're in positional shape, right? RW, let's say, decides to attack the ball and he misses. He's attacking now. Look at what happens. He has to come out to engage. He has to now shift into a different position, right? To cover for him. This guy has to shift over. This center mid has to drop back. It changes our shape, and we haven't worked enough on this where you guys understand who needs to go. So if for any reason, let's say one DM goes and now it's this, look at this. Now it's a 2-on-2 situation. And we never want that. We always want to have at least 3 in an area against 2. If they have 3, we have 4, right? So it's vitally important that you don't dive for the ball and you keep the defender or the offensive guy in front of you. So let's move him back here. Now, what is the objective for us here? The objective for us here is as a right wing defender, you're pressing him into the sideline. Make him go, this is the only way he goes. And as he goes, you close him down and then you eventually cut him off, right? So you're forcing him here. Forwards in this situation are shifting over to prevent the back pass from going. I mean, if he stops and goes all the way back, that's fine. But if he cuts back, the forward needs to be there to prevent this guy from getting the ball. Because what happens is we want to win it where we're pressing them together. We want to make this field on defense. We want to make the field small for them, not big, right? So we press in to win it. So let's read that again. Force opponent to the sideline. That's why your body shape is here. You're forcing him towards that direction and towards the sideline as he advances. Key is to stop forward progression, which means eventually he'll see this defender. He'll see this guy coming up. And so what's going to happen is he's going to stop. He's going to look for another option in the middle. So that's where you anticipate the passes in the middle, right? And then shift as a team to close 2/3. So we already talked about that a million times. The goal is not to let him have any outlet except to just boot it out or boot it forward. In that case, keeper gets it. The defender has the ability to control, and then we clear, right? Let's talk about this one real quick. We'll talk about 8. So actually, let's talk about 9. Let's say the ball is here and we're playing defense. So that means they just had a goal kick or something like that. They'll have probably guys like this somehow. We'll have them here. This guy will be over here. Forward's up here. Our forward is at this point in this situation. Right wing is all the way up. DM. Other DM. Winger is inside more, leaving the outside, leaving this space over here. Left wing is here. Right wing is here, right? So look at, in this situation, what are we doing? Defense, allow the center back to pass to the wing, then close. So they can't play the U and switch. How does that work? So let's say he kicks it out here, and they did this a bunch of times. As a forward, your run isn't straight here, because that means he can pass it back this way and then they're out on the other side, right? We don't want that. What we want you to do is we want to take a rounded run. We want you to run like this and close, right? And why is this? Because now there is no back pass. We want them to play this ball in the middle. This is the golden opportunity because they made the pass into their own danger area where goals get scored on. And this is where the CM has to be way on his toes and ready to close that part, because you're going to get a shot right here, right? This is a golden scoring opportunity. So there's 2 main players that need to understand what's going on. Or in this situation, 1, you run like this. 2, you actually are out here. The ball comes out to this person, out to number 8. You want to make this run. You don't want to run straight here because he'll just pass it down the line. And now we're in trouble because he just beat 2 lines, right? What we want to run is we want to run it like that. You want to actually come up and engage him in a way where you cut off the pass to the 5. CM, you're on 7, right? You're on number 7 and you're really close because that's the outlet. You want that pass to happen. And maybe even, to be honest, if I was playing that role, I would sit off of him a little bit so that he thinks that's open. And the minute that pass is on its way, when he puts his head down and put that pass, I am full sprint trying to get in front of him and I'm going, right? So this is what 1 is there. This is 2. You have to cut off that line, because if you run blindly, you're gonna be up here and you're gonna be chasing 10 yards back when the ball goes by you. This guy comes in to mark the 7. The winger out here, you actually press in and cover in between. You cover 4, 2, and 6. That's your job, right? And then DMs, you actually sit in the zone and you're covering that area. Ultimately, if we don't win the ball and he doesn't make the pass here, what he's going to do is there's no way out. I'm going to kick it down the line. So that's where you come in, right? That's where RD comes in to get the ball. And then if there's a forward close to you, you can simply turn back and we play out from the back. Or you get it here, and if he's not covering, you play to the DM, or you go, you play through the center again, and we play. Does that make sense? And we're going to run through this on Friday. So let's read 9 again. Allow the center back to pass to the wing, then close so they can't pass the U, the 1 run, and close the passing lane down the wing. That's 2, right? CM in the middle, forcing that defender to make it hard for him to turn, right? When he receives it, make sure he's facing his own goal. Make sure his body shape is here, not here, right? Because if he's here, he can see and he'll go down the line, right? And LW, the other wing, pinch in. Cool. And then look, close passing lanes down the wing and force the defender to go over the top. So you want that ball to go down here, right? And you can take a little more risk in this area because if you lose or if you don't get the ball, you still have 2 or 3 lines of defense and they're very far away from the goal. All right. And let's talk about number 8 and then we'll be done for today. So let's say the ball is actually in the middle. So when does this happen? Let's say they're able to do the U, or the goalkeeper is planning on doing a goal kick. So let's look at that real quick and then we're good for now. Right? So let's say the ball's here. Let's say the center mid back is here. We are in a situation where this is actually a very golden opportunity for us to press and score, right? So let's look here. Let's look here. All right, let's read it first. This is where you have to decide. If you're playing a team that is not as good as you, or you see has problems with playing out of the back, then as a team, you have to determine, let's press, right? But if they're a really good team, let's say they're like, I don't know, TFA or some of the other teams that can really play well and pass out, what they want you to do is they're baiting you in so that you can give them the counter. So we can sit back at that point. And this is the determination from coach and from the players on the field, right? So let's talk about this. And then if you're pressing, right? If we're pressing like this, where are the danger areas? If we look, it's 4 and 6. Zones 4 and 6. That means this zone right here is danger. And that's this zone right here, that's danger. So as you press, make sure and RD and LD, be very careful. This is where they're going if they're smart. If they're not, they'll just kick it straight down and we already have people there. But this is where they're going. They're going into this area for 6 to run, or they're going down this area for 5 to run, right? High press for teams that can't play out. So let's say they come here. You immediately press towards the wing, of course, right? You don't give the option to go back across. Instantly, you got to mark that guy. Instantly, this guy has to be on 4. And we can actually step up in this case. DM can step up. And this other DM on that side sits in the zone, right? So what's going on is the only option they have is to go back, and it's the forward's job to create that barrier right here so that he continues out in this row. LW, stay close, stay close. He has no options. He's going to go long. That's what a press is, right? If they're a really good team and you want to press, let's say TFA, then every single player needs to kind of press up high. We leave this side open. This guy actually comes up here, right? This is what a full team press is. Why? Because he's going this way. He's dribbling that way. There is no way he's hitting a 40-yard ball into this area. So you're limiting him only to zone 4, right? Zone 4. And if he goes into that space, we already are shifting into this space right here, right? There's already an LD right there. There's a DM right there to kind of cover that zone as well. Make sense? If they're really good and coach determines that, hey, pressing isn't working, then we sit in the middle block, not the low block, the middle block. And what does that mean? Middle block is this. We come back into our zonal marking. We sit here. We let them play out of the back. And as a unit, right? As a unit, we sit and then we're able to drop with them if they bypass any lines, meaning we're looking at positional play. So as they go from 8 to 5, we're looking at positional play. When they go from 5 to 2, we're hyper focused. When they go from 5 to 3, we stay goal side mark and we are aware of all their crossing and everything. If they're on the outside, we pinch them to the side. If they're on the defensive, we're pressing on the wing. Do you understand how these cards work now? Right? If your mind is like this, you know exactly when to press, when to fall back, how to play as a team. You're looking and reminding your teammates of the same thing, because in each one of these zones, they should be thinking what you're thinking. And if they're not thinking what you're thinking, you tell them, right? And this is how we play. And if we play like this, the magic of it is we're a unit. We move as a team together. Cool? All right, I will stop it there and we'll work on the offensive side later. But what I want to kind of do is open it up for any questions if you have any. Anyone with questions? Or was it did coach explain it so well that you all got it? I doubt that very much, but no questions? Jonathan, you're aware of what we need to do when you're on the outside and it's and the ball's on the opposite end, you're squeezing in, right? You're dropping back. Yeah. Okay. Oscar, you're good. August, you understand? Nice. Aaron? Good. Micah? All right. So I will stop the recording here. And I will stop the recording and the screen.